All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Patel. I'm the founder of 2400 Expert SAT Prep. And in this video, I'm going to cover a little bit of information related to our Philadelphia new SAT Prep courses. And so to start off, I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. Back when I was in high school, I started with around an average SAT score. And after lots of studying, I was able to improve my own score to a perfect SAT, which is something that about 0.02% of students achieve. Because of my SAT score, my life completely changed. I was admitted into prestigious universities. I received $250,000 in scholarships, and I even got to meet the President of the United States. And so, because of my SAT score, I went on to write some number one best-selling SAT and ACT books. In addition, I'm also an MD/MBA student at Yale and USC right now. But most importantly, I started 2400 Expert to help students prepare for the SAT the way that I did in high school so that they can also see massive score improvements and change their own lives. And we've been very fortunate to be very successful. Our average SAT score improvement is 368 points to student scores. We have students go to every single top university in the nation, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Princeton, all the Ivy League schools, etc. Many of our students have won millions in college scholarships, and some have even gotten perfect SAT scores themselves. What I really developed was spending thousands of hours putting together the curriculum for a 6-week SAT prep course in which students meet with instructors twice a week for 3 hours and once a week for 4 hours with a proctor in order to take practice SAT exams. And so it's a total of 10 hours a week with homework in between for 6 weeks. And so we're excited to launch this 6-week SAT course in Philadelphia now. And so I'll start off with just telling you guys maybe the answer to the most frequently asked question we get at 2400 Expert related to the SAT from parents, which is, when should my child start studying for the SAT? The answer to this question for me is really as soon as possible. A lot of people will say wait till spring of your junior year or even fall of your senior year, and that's what the typical pattern of most high school students is. The problem with waiting that long is spring of your junior year is packed full of stuff with AP exams and finals. Fall of your senior year is full of college applications. And what I typically see is students don't spend enough time studying for the SAT because they're so busy with everything else, and then they don't improve their SAT score enough. They don't get the SAT minimum score that they need for a lot of the colleges they want to go to. They don't get the scholarships they want. And so it's really detrimental if you delay it for so long. So I personally started studying for the SAT as a sophomore because I wanted to get ready for the PSAT, which is in October of your junior year. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about the PSAT in just a couple of minutes. But we've also, we've been doing this for 5 years at 2400 Expert, and what we've realized is the students that started with us as freshmen or sophomores, the younger students, they typically get the highest SAT scores, they get into the best colleges, and they win the most scholarships. And in addition, they also end up doing very well in their high school classes. Parents and students always come back to us and say, I use so many of the 100 strategies you guys taught us in my regular high school math class or English class or other standardized exams. Because at 24 Expert, we not only like to prepare you for the SAT, but we like to prepare students for standardized testing in general, as well as teaching them a lot of study techniques, which aren't taught in high school. And so there's all kinds of benefits to studying for the SAT earlier rather than later. Next, for our Philadelphia SAT prep course in particular, we have an awesome location. It's in a place called Intelligent Office in King of Prussia. This location, and we work out of the conference room there. You can seat about 12 students, so pretty small class size. You get to work very intimately with your instructor. Your instructor is Andrew Chang. He's an absolute rock star SAT instructor. He scored in the 99th percentile himself. Been tutoring for over 5 years. It's just really, really great opportunity to work with such an expert SAT instructor. I've also trained him to teach all of my methods and material and all of that. So you'll be in great, great hands at the King of Prussia, Philadelphia location. And in addition, so I said I would talk about the PSAT a little bit more. So I'll give you a little bit more information about that. I really consider the PSAT very, very important. Most people just think of it as a practice SAT and they don't put a lot of importance on it. However, the PSAT is very important for one reason. It's the only test that can qualify you for national merit. So national merit is not only an awesome accolade to have on your college application, but it's also a $2,500 college scholarship to any university you want to go to. In addition, many universities will give you a half tuition or full tuition scholarship just because you're a national merit finalist, right? And so, for example, Boston University gives students a half tuition scholarship that are national merit finalists. And so that's an $80,000 scholarship that you automatically receive just because you're a national merit, right? Or just for scoring high on this one test. So how high do you need to score on the PSAT in order to qualify to become a national merit scholar? Well, it really depends on the state that you live in, because the cutoff scores vary from state to state, depending on how well other students in your state do on the PSAT. So more academically competitive states will have higher cutoffs, less academically competitive states will have lower cutoffs. In a state like Pennsylvania, the cutoff is about 1370, and that's out of 1520. So the new PSAT is out of 1520. It's not out of 240 like the previous PSAT was. And so you do need to score relatively high in order to qualify for national merit. But again, if you're already preparing for the SAT, you don't need to prepare for the PSAT. I never studied for the PSAT myself in high school. I just studied for the SAT because if you're ready for the SAT, you'll be over prepared for the PSAT. The PSAT is really an easier version of the SAT. It's shorter, there's no essay, the math is easier. And so just get ready for the SAT and you'll be ready for the PSAT. Now, in terms of scholarships, I also want to talk about scholarships because a lot of people overlook the importance of your SAT score to getting scholarships. So when I was in high school, I applied for 100 scholarships my senior year, and I won 20 of them, which amounted to $250,000. So I didn't have to pay a dime for college, which was great. And what I realized was that most of the scholarships that I won, 19 out of the 20, were all local scholarships, meaning scholarships that were open to students in my city or state. The reason I realized that this was the case afterwards was because the applicant pool is much smaller, right? If you apply to a scholarship that's only open to students in your state, then you've already reduced that applicant pool by at least 50 times when comparing it to like a scholarship that's open to everyone across the nation. So I really tell students, don't waste your time like I did applying to big national scholarships because I never won them and I had an awesome resume, right? I had a perfect SAT score, I had valedictorianship, I had great extracurriculars, and I still couldn't win. So why waste your time putting together those applications? Instead, focus on local scholarships because those will be the ones that you will be most likely to win. Now, where do you find local scholarships? Well, Google is your best friend in terms of that. In addition, your college counselor's office. One resource for those of you in the Philadelphia and Pennsylvania area is the Philadelphia Foundation. They give out a lot of scholarships locally to students in the Philadelphia area. And so definitely check out the Philadelphia Foundation for local scholarships. And that's just the first step to getting ready to make sure that you go to a great college, but also get it paid for, right? Finally, why should you take our Philadelphia SAT prep course in January and February, which are the next courses coming up? The reason for that is because I really think that students who take the March 2016 SAT will benefit from its curve if you are ready for the new SAT. So what I mean by this is, the March 2016 SAT is going to be the first administration ever of the new version of the SAT. And because of that, most students are not going to be ready for it. There's not as many prep materials out, there aren't as many tests out. But the few students that are ready for it, such as the 2400 expert students who are going to take our 6-week class and learn 100 strategies for the test and practice on 1,000 plus problems, they're going to be super ready for that new SAT, whereas most students are not. Those few students that are ready for the new SAT are going to knock this March 2016 SAT out of the park. The reason for that is because the curve will be in our favor since most students are not going to be ready for this test. And there's actually precedent for this. Back when I was in high school, when the SAT changed from 1600 to 2400, the SAT actually, or the students that were ready for that first 2400 version of the exam, they scored exceptionally well at my high school. I remember students getting 2400, 2390, 2380, 2320, 2280, all these high scores at my high school because there was a few students that just got ready for that first version of the new SAT or the 2400 version of SAT, right? And so in that same vein, what I want all students to do is get ready for that first March 2016 new SAT that's coming up by taking our 6-week SAT prep course because that will really, really get you ready. Our course goes 6 weeks before that first March SAT exam, and you'll be really prepared for it. It also spreads out your testing nicely, right? So you study for the SAT in January and February, and then you take your AP exams in May, you take your finals in June, and you get all your testing out of the way that way. Instead, most of your classmates will probably be taking the SAT in May or June, and they're just not going to have enough time to study for the SAT when they've also got AP exams and finals. So it's a really, really good time in January and February to take this course and get ready for the SAT and just knock it out. But anyway, I hope to see you guys in one of our courses, whether it's the Philadelphia one or one of our online courses soon. And I wish you all the best of luck in your SAT, college, and scholarship goals. All right, thanks.